couple of years of earnings are going to depress of low earnings are going to depress stock prices. And that leaves, two other possibilities that I can think of. One is that these sectors that are represented in the stock market are going to do better than the sectors that are not. And lastly, this is when all else fails, you have to say there's some amount of irrational exuberance. There is a certain amount of money, as you said, of liquidity chasing asset prices. There's a certain amount of fear of missing out as small retail investors think that, things are going to be fine and they join in, especially if the market has already bounced back quite a bit. And that could take the market even higher, only to correct down the line. From an investor's perspective, I think what is most important is to be well diversified, not to put all your eggs in one basket. The stimulus for recovery is yet to come and depends to some extent on how much you get sort of the economy bouncing back because you spent enough on relief. In India, my sense is the damage done to households and to small and medium enterprises, because we have not spent enough, will show up at that phase when we bounce back, but not enough, because so many businesses have gone out, simply cannot restart, and so many families are in a bad way, especially amongst the poorer segments of society. I'm not suggesting we do a massive lockdown again. I think we need to understand, we need to look around the world, especially the emerging and developing world. What has worked there? Why has Ethiopia got a low number of cases? Why did Vietnam work? And figure out from that what seem reasonable responses in order to bring the virus load down significantly from where we are. Until we fix that, it's not clear to me that we will make progress on the economic front more than a certain amount. We should be preparing for the next phase, right? Certainly, I would say that repair of our companies is extremely important. We need to make sure our companies come out from this in a position to actually reopen and grow. So restructuring your debts may be on the cards for a number of them. And certainly access to finance going forward is really important for a number of firms. And this is where I think cleaning up the financial sector, making sure it can lend when that is needed, both to individuals, retail, but also to firms, is extremely important. We should be spending a lot of time on that now. The NCLT should be working 24/7. We should have multiple new offices, even though we have put a moratorium on new cases. Clear out the old cases and be prepared for an avalanche of new cases, because we need to fix that. We don't have the money to bail out every small firm like the US has done with Paycheck Protection, but we have to make sure that those companies are ready to run. So that's one example of what we need to do. Lastly, I think the government has talked about reforms. Certainly reforms in the agricultural sector look promising if they are carried out. But there are other reforms which have been promised. What has happened on that? I mean, you said the stock market is buoyant. Why aren't we selling public sector firms at this point? Are we waiting for the stock market to come down to start selling more? We talked about privatization. Why haven't we spent these 4 or 5 months preparing the entities to be privatized and to sell them so that we can have more resources to spend on repairing the economy? We need people who can think about the macro. We need people who can think about the financial sector, because we really need a lot of effort to compensate for our more modest resources. I think people like Mr. Kamath and other professionals recruited in would add capabilities to our current government.